Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lucy and in today's video I am giving you my top spring book recommendations. So the weather is glorious, it is officially spring, I am being blinded by the light outside, but you know what? I'm not going to complain because spring is finally here. And in spring, the type of books I like to read really changes. So I like to read whimsical, escapist, cozy, very like kind of cottagecore type reads. So I picked a selection of books that I think you will really like and that will really get you in the springtime mood. You know, we're thinking a fresh start, new life, spring cleaning, it's all that good stuff. And I also really like to read romance. I read romance all seasons, but especially in spring. The type of romances I like are a bit more escapist and whimsical and magical. So I really hope that these suggestions will be up your street. So before we get cracking on with the recommendations, do make sure you're subscribed to this channel. I've got so many good videos coming up that I really hope you'll enjoy. Lots of book recommendations. So if this video is your type of thing, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out. So let's get started, shall we? The first book I really want to recommend for this time of year is A Lady's Guide to Fortune Hunting by Sophie Irwin. So this is, as it says on the tin, A Lady's Guide to Fortune Hunting, in the sense of it is about our main character who needs to marry well because her whole family are on the brink of destitution, and this is obviously set in the Regency era. She needs a husband and she goes to crazy, amazing lengths to get herself in with this very, very renowned, titled family. She sets her sights on the younger brother, you know, more impressionable, but the oldest sibling will have none of it. He is the eldest brother and he's like, I know exactly what you're doing, I can see through you. So he kind of blocks every single effort that she makes to try and win over the youngest son. And of course they end up falling in love themselves, and it is so perfect, so magical, just really funny and light. And if you're looking for something escapist and romantic, you will love this because it's really funny too. In plot, this is quite similar to Bridgerton, like the second Bridgerton book, which is The Viscount Who Loved Me, where it's kind of flipped, where obviously Anthony Bridgerton is trying to marry Edwina and Kate, her older sister, is having none of it, and it's like, get your eyes off her, we don't want anything to do with this. So it's kind of similar in that concept, but I think that setup allows for some really lovely romantic hilarity. And I think in spring you want things that are light, kind of fluffy, but this still has some depth. And I really would recommend A Lady's Guide to Fortune Hunting if you've not read this book yet. So next up we have some fantasy, which usually I would kind of think autumn, winter, perfect for fantasy. But this book in particular is one of the most whimsical fantasy books I've ever read. There's a lot of romance in here, so you romance fans will love it. But it is Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. This is my like absolutely stunning proof copy. I don't know if you can see that. This was kindly sent to me from Hodder and Stoughton a few years back, but oh my gosh, is this series really, really growing on me. So this first book, Once Upon a Broken Heart, I rated 4 stars when I read it a few years back. It is basically a spin-off world to the Caraval series, but it's based in this gorgeous fantasy place called the Magnificent North. And it features our main character, Evangeline, who, after getting her heart broken, she basically makes a deal with a fate. In exchange for the fate's help, he asks her for 3 kisses to be given at times of his own choosing. So she is in this deal with this fate called Jax, who is just like amazing. We love Jax, we stan Jax. But the setting, the gorgeousness of this world, it is one of the most like whimsical fantasy books I've ever read. Like really, really like magical, over the top, like very romantic. If you're looking for a fantasy book that is just kind of fluffy, if that makes sense, like I know a lot of fantasy books aren't really fluffy, this is quite like that, and you will have an amazing couple of hours, couple of days reading this book. You know, it's that much fun, and it's perfect for spring, I think, because there is that whimsy about it. There's that kind of like magical escapist situation, and there's a fair dashing of love in this as well. It's not set in spring, but I think like if you're looking for something fun, this book will definitely deliver. Now for something very different, complete opposite in fact, Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. So hopefully you should have all heard about this book. It was recently made into a film, which I really liked actually. I thought it was a really good interpretation of this book. So this book is essentially a mix of incredible nature writing with a really interesting mystery. So this follows our main character Kaya, who is known as the Marsh Girl. It's set in 1960s, I think, on the North Carolina coast, and Kaya has basically raised herself. One by one, all of her family have basically abandoned her, and she lives on this marsh by herself. But this has allowed her to really study the natural world around her, the marsh, all the kind of wildlife from the marsh. And if you're looking for a read that really draws on the natural world, but still packs a punch in terms of the plot, I think this book is perfect for your springtime reading list, because the writing is so sumptuous. All the kind of natural world descriptions, like, you feel like you fall in love with the marsh as well, and all the incredible like scenes around you when you read this book, because it's just so beautiful. But also the plot line itself, there is a romance at the heart of this, which I absolutely loved. I read this in spring a few years back, and I was so glad I did, because it really is the perfect springtime reading. It has a dash of mystery as well. That's kind of the central plot, where Kaya has basically been accused of murdering someone. You really get to the bottom of that as well. But what I really appreciated is the mystery isn't the whole book. The rest of the book is just beautiful, whimsical, magical, and makes for really beautiful reading. Now, it wouldn't be some springtime reading without me mentioning this book, which I think is a complete classic. It is a classic, but it's also a cottagecore staple, I feel. It is Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. So I read this for the first time like 4 years ago, and I'd seen the film, fallen in love with that film. Like, oh, the Greta Gerwig film is just incredible. I would pair that with this book if you plan on reading this book this spring. What a perfect combination. But Little Women is essentially about 4 sisters, the March sisters, who basically just live their lives, and they're kind of so tightly knit, and they have a beautiful relationship with their mother and their father, and there are obviously romances in this as well. The sisters obviously grow up. This is a tale of them growing up and being surrounded by each other's presence and growing as women. But it just has everything for me. It has that coziness, that historical element. It has the bonds of sisters, but also a lot of appreciation of the natural world, kind of cozy home scenes as well. So if you're looking for some perfect reading this spring, you can't go further than Little Women, in my opinion. Like, it is a cottagecore staple, and it just makes you feel all the feels. It's just, what can I say, incredible. So really would recommend Little Women if you've not yet read this book. Now next up, you know, I am a Regency romance addict, so this comes as no surprise, but I wanted to recommend Reputation by Lex Croucher. So you can already tell by the cover that this is just gonna be fun, you know? And boy does it deliver on that promise. So this is about a very middle-class girl called Georgiana who falls in with a very aristocratic crowd. It's kind of like Mean Girls meets like Jane Austen, I guess. So Georgiana falls in with these very wealthy people. She gets very close with a girl called Frances Campbell, who is very well-to-do, and her group of friends. And they just go crazy. Like, they party, they take drugs, they like stay up all night just partying and enjoying themselves. There's a lot of gossip that ensues. There's a lot of kind of like bad behavior. But all of that makes this an amazing, hilarious, really just fun story for spring. Lex Croucher's writing is brilliant. It really just throws you into the action. You feel like you're a part of this gang. I feel like any type of Regency setting is perfect for this time of year because it really is escapist. So if you're looking for something funny, romantic, and also kind of just escapist, like, this book is perfect for you. It's perfect for spring, and if you've not yet read Reputation, I really would recommend it. And my final recommendation for springtime reading has to be A Sky Painted Gold by Laura Wood. So I don't know how well you can see just how beautiful this book is. Like, stunning, stunning. This is a gorgeous historical fiction novel set in the 1920s, and It's set in Cornwall, right on the eve of this incredible summer. So it features our main character, who is kind of just a local. She lives in Cornwall in this kind of small village, and her family don't come from a lot of money. But basically there is this island that's only accessible by a tideway, or you have to swim across very close by to her, featuring this gorgeous big house. Like, it's the only house on the island. It's absolutely stunning. Actually inspired by St. Michael's Mount in Cornwall. If you've never been, look it up. It is beautiful. But then Lou, our main character, sees that people have started moving in to the house on the island. So she swims across, she goes across to the island and kind of spies on them. And that's when she kind of meets Robert Cardew, who is the eldest son of this family, and him and his sister are moving back there for the summer. She basically gets embroiled with this family and gets to know them really well, becomes a friend of the family's. She spends some incredible times at this house with them, partying. Think like Great Gatsby vibe. It's 1920s, it's excellent fashion. They are like staying up all night, hosting these wild parties on this island. And there is a simmering romance in the background with Lou and Robert. Of course, they come from very different classes, so that is a big consideration. But Lou also gets really close with his sister, who I think is called Alice, I want to say, but his sister is very, very troubled. She holds a lot of secrets, but Lou gets involved in all of these secrets and becomes a confidant to her. Basically, of course, there is a fallout to all this, and it's a very, very satisfying conclusion, so I really would recommend. It's perfect for spring and for summer, actually, because it is set on the cusp of this epic summer, this gorgeous, warm, lovely summer in Cornwall. And because of that historical setting, it really is just very escapist and romantic and whimsical. So I really would recommend reading this. Like, it is an absolute ride of a book, but in the most beautiful way. So I really hope I persuaded you to pick this up, because you won't regret it. So everyone, those are my spring book recommendations. I really, really hope you found something here to add to your spring TBR and that you're having a lovely season. I always love spring turning into summer because, like, it's just one of the most lovely times. Very transitional. And I hope this video has inspired you to pick up some new books this season. Thank you again for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you did enjoy this. All books are linked down below, and I'll see you very, very soon for my next video. Bye.